Alright, and can you hear that in the background? That's some bread dough being worm screwed away with a paddle. So, two things I want to do. Green science. Why do I want to do green science? Because green science allows me to do this, a graviton lens, which allows me to do this, a space warp. So when I do a space warp, it means I can warp into space. Here's some I've made earlier. And, wow, why would I want to warp into space? Very, very, very simple. So, solar cells, I can build that with local materials. Frame material takes titanium alloy. Let's have a look at titanium alloy. Well, I've got plenty of titanium, plenty of steel. Sulfuric acid, I do not have plenty of it. And, got curious, and I thought to myself, so where else can I get sulfuric acid? Where can I, gathered from sulfuric acid ocean? Well, it turns out hot planets have sulfuric acid oceans, and I thought to myself, so what I'm looking for is a hot star, so blue stars are hot, or I'm looking for like a planet really close to its sun, but those tend to be like barren wastelands. Anyway, I found one, 168 Scorpii, which is 11 light years away. But what about? Is there any others? What? There's Beta Borealis. There's a B-type star. Says it's unknown. You need universe exploration. But anyway, that doesn't matter because if I look here in my sort of night sky, B-type star, neutron star. Cool. What's that? That's a black hole. Okay, but 168 Scorpii. Whoops. That one. Did I just put a tab on it? Anyway, that's what I want to get to. So, first of all, check what fuel I've got. Yep. So yeah, I've done. Oh, and also I've done some further work on Kelb 4. All the resources there are now tapped and part of the logistics network. So okay, let's. Now to blast off. Alright, I'll tell you what, I'm going to mute my microphone because it's just going to be noisy and I just need to do some thinking. Oh, but why don't I put some music on whilst I'm not doing anything? Oh, it's gone quiet. I think it's done with its kneading. So it wants strange matter. Strange matter is particle containers, and it's particle containers, iron ingots, and deuterium. Okay, so particle container, graphene, yes, and electromagnetic turbines. Well, I said I was going to make those, so alright. I need to make them in greater quantity, so let's get to Kelb 4, which as we can see is far away. And no, now I'm out of the planet. Let's warp. Just a very short intra-system warp, I should say. There we go. That shortens our travel distance somewhat. And here's our planet. Right, now, I've come to this polar region, and you see here, now this might look excessive, and it probably is. And you may go, Hobbit, why is there belts connecting all of your logistics networks together? Well, do you see that thing that's going through them? Those are the warper modules. So the idea being that if they need to warp, then all of these will have access to warpers, and I've set one of these, I can't remember which one, to request warpers. So when I eventually do make that item, they will come in there and all be supplied. And so this will be my interstellar hub for the entire solar system. So things will come from these planets to here, and then once they're here, I can then say, well, you can go anywhere else. So I will be setting up a trade route to go between 168 Scorpii for sulfuric acid, because, well, let's just say I reckon that's where I'd find sulfuric acid if I was looking for it. But in the meantime, we need electromagnetic turbines. So, like for example here, this one here, it's not doing much, is it? So, electromagnetic turbines, we need magnets. We're not producing many magnets, so let's request iron ore coming. So we'll request iron ore, and we'll just demand that. So we should have a fleet of that come in. Now, what else does an electromagnet... Well, first of all, we have to build an electric motor. So an electric motor takes electromagnetic coils, which takes copper ingots. So can we request copper ingots? Let's see if there's got any... Yep, there's local copper ingots. So here comes a bunch of iron ore. Yep, and there's more fleets carrying the things what we want. Ah, that is a lovely... You know what? It really is just a treat just to watch all this stuff being done. And yeah, really like that. It was really nice just to watch things flying in motion. But anyway, we want iron ore out. I'll tell you what, after a few hours of playing this game, my vision starts to get all curved. Looking at these curved lines, it's quite a strange experience, I can tell you that. Do I have any fuel? I've got those, but I don't really want to use them. So, as I don't have fuel, let's have over here a... In fact, let's... So this is going to be my charge point, and all four of those are charging me at the same... Can I fit any more in? There may be some noise in the future, but it smells like the bread dough is being warmed. So there's my charging thingy, and there I'm fully charged up with energy. So now let's get some smelters. The same thing as before. Oh, by the way, Top Cat, I watched your... Well, you know I watched your exercise video the other day. I was very interested to see that lunging jump thing. I think I've seen that thing before with kettlebells, and boy, you've got more stamina than me, that's for sure. I think I could do about 20 of those lunges and I'll be fighting for breath, and certainly wouldn't want to jump down and immediately go into push-ups. I think I want to just slowly get down and catch my breath. I really should do push-ups again. See, I got one stomach injury when I was trying to do some abdominal exercises, because I was thinking like, oh okay, I don't have, you know, I think it's time I worked on my abdominal muscles, and it really hurt, and since then I've been not doing much apart from walking, and I don't think that is sufficient. So this thing here with magnets, that's going to be more than enough magnets. Surely, it's got to be. but that's okay. Now, one of the other reasons I want to build these space frame components. Now, what am I doing first? Am I doing? I'm doing. That's right. I'm doing. I'm focusing on green science before anything else. Because I need warp speed technology so I can get to other stars and I can harvest their resources. But there's a new. Well, it's new to me. There's a new. Yeah, that's new. There is a new voice that keeps on calling me down the road. That's where I'll always be. Every step I take, I make a new friend. Can't stay long because I'll be on the road again. Maybe tomorrow I think I'll settle down. Until tomorrow, let's explain the new thing what I've got. This new thing I've got is a satellite power distribution thing. So, if you're familiar with Factorio, it's just a power substation. It's got a wide area of coverage and it makes things easier. And oh, look at that. That belt is not fast enough, so... And I can't do that because I need some graphene. I really should be manufacturing these belts. Use this for the umpteenth time. But I'm not doing that just for the moment, so just for now, we'll make do with some cheats. I'm doing it with the training wheels on. Next playthrough won't be cheating, but it's nice to play a sandbox creative mode where you don't have to worry so much about manufacturing, and you can just be like, okay, yeah, I understand that. I just want to crack on and do, I want to see what comes next. The actual bit of like, right, okay, I need to like build every single thing. And there's already people saying, I want to see Angels and Bob's mods for this game. And I thought, now, Factorio is a game which already I'd say 99% of people won't play because it's far too autistic. And that's fine, it's not meant for everybody. I mean, not everyone likes logistics management. I do. Love it. Absolutely love it. Can't get enough of the damn stuff. But Angel and Bob's mods is a thing of just saying, ooh, what do you mean you're just going to get iron ore and you put it into a smelter with some coal and get iron? No, you can't do that. For a start, in the real world, if you try and smelt iron with coal, it will get sulfonated, which makes it brittle, which makes it useless for practically anything. And then of course you can't just get like large lumps of iron ore and expect it to go in and then you're hunky-dory. No, sir. Oh, no. And I've just realised I've tried to put things in here, but I can't. Because these planetary logistics stations only can deal with 3 items at a time. So what I've done there is a bit of a faux pas. Can I just build one down here? Too close to another station. Can I build one there? I think it'll be easiest if I build one there. Just sort of to the side. Yeah, let's build it there, that'll do. So I've played it briefly. I was on the multiplayer server because I was like, okay, I'm fascinated. What's this like? Is it? And I seem to remember the steps involved. Well, they were using an additional mod where you could have these factories. Let me explain. A factory is like a large internal building. You can go inside it, and then inside that building you build all the things which you want to build. And the idea being is that it can make, especially when you're dealing with complicated bases, it can make things a lot simpler. You put in a raw resource, an iron ore, and then out comes iron, steel, cogs, whatever like finished products you want to make from that ore. A bit like Tesla's gigafactory, where I heard the idea of it was, yes, we'll be taking raw resources in by the train load, so raw minerals, and then outside will come finished cars. So, but in the meantime, there's a huge bunch of stuff going on to make that all feasible. Yes. And I'm already going to upgrade these belts because I think they're insufficient. Yep, that seems to be working well. Let's put some logistics in there, like so. So that is got a nice supply of magnets just filling in nicely there. And what's this doing? That's 100% satisfaction, so that's all good. Jumping lunges, that's what they're called. Yeah, it looks like hard work too, but must be good for the core muscles, because whilst you're jumping from one leg to another, from my understanding, core muscles are all about balance. So if you're moving your body from one side to the other, your core muscles regulate that. So you don't actually need to do any stomach crunching exercises. You just do muscles. Right. I want to make motors. So I think I'm producing iron other places. So let's just demand iron. Yep, plenty of iron's coming in. So it's going there for iron. And iron's coming out there. And that's an international... I say international. That's an interplanetary, interstellar hub. So let me just fly over to it to inspect it. So this one, local supply, remote supply, it's not demanding any. Well, that's okay. We could always have another one which is if ever we find that we're getting a bottleneck with iron production. So we'll see, we'll see. So we got iron and we've got magnets in this hub now. That's good. So let me check again. We want to make motors first of all. So components, electric motor. So I need an electromagnet and need cogs. Right. So I'll need copper. And got copper there. It's demanding copper, which means I can output copper. Why is this demanding? Oh yeah, I said, well, I'm going to need copper, aren't I? So, well, anyway, it's demanded copper, so let's have a line of copper. What comes out? Let's do it here. Yeah. And then this one will be a line of magnets coming out. And this is to make electromagnets. Now, let's see, to make an electromagnet or magnetic coil, 2 magnets, 1 copper. Right. Okay. So we want the magnet side to be the one which is going to be closest to our factory. Okie dokie. Says it will collide with other objects. Oh, I see, yeah, because there's a belt there. Okay, so we'll do that. There we go. Now, do I have any factories on? I don't have any factories on me. Can I build the basic ones? No, because you got no iron. Now, I saw this. I did see it, so it is possible that you can actually just collect items from one of these hubs and put it onto your person or your mecha. So let's see if I can do that. So if I just shift click, right click, no. I definitely saw it being done. So, let me alt tab and have a look. How to collect resources from hub in... No, it's not called a hub, it's from station in Dyson sphere program. And how to use the orbit collector, Dyson sphere power. How to build, use the orbital collector, Dyson beginner's guide for an efficient blah blah blah. What's this? You need good dependable guide to speed your game. First step. No, that's being it's too complicated. So, I need the factories. Let's just do the thing so I can have factories and I can just build them instantly. There we go. We're going to go straight ahead and use the super fast ones. Well, I say super fast. They're the fastest available. Oh, and I didn't say here that I wanted this to output magnets, so let's try that again, shall we? So, magnets come out, like so. And that one's already upgraded, yeah. So that's all good. Right, so magnets there, copper there. Okay, so now if I go to production, and those, let's see, pop on there, and I want you to make me magnetic coils. And I know I've got that on my first planet, but it's all a mess. It was right at the beginning. I was young and inexperienced and I was learning and just trying to find myself. So it doesn't count. That's the other thing now, because I've already learnt some lessons in this game and I thought, well, next game I'll do this and that. But then again, why? Because I've already got all this technology research. I could just go to another star system with another planet, which I haven't exploited yet, and take the lessons I've learned to that other planet and just make things a lot better. And I won't have to research the same technologies again, so I think that is the way to go ahead in the future. So, let's get some sorters, as they call it, and sort this out. Magnets in, copper in. Magnets in, copper in. Magnets in, copper in. Copper in, magnets in. Magnets in, copper in. Magnets in, copper in. Copper in, magnets in. Wow, it's just started, okay. So magnets in, copper in, magnets in, magnets in, copper in, magnets in, copper in, magnets in, copper in, magnets in, copper in. Right, so that's all that done. And then let's make sure they all got power. And yep, we got some electromagnets. So we want to make motors. Hello, John, got a new motor? Well, yes, I do. Thank you for asking. So this is saying it's making 90 a minute. Well, that is a good number. Music time. performance. It seems that the bread maker has gone quiet again. And I like all sorts of sounds, and it is fun creating different sounds with the sound. Something got to be said for the tonal purity of the organ. And he's like, oh, but Hobble, that's very pretentious. And anyway, it's not really a pure signal because you're doing all filtration to it. Yeah, but it does sound good, doesn't it? And that's the important thing. That's a good transition, isn't it? Oh yeah, that's the bit where it turns off, and then it's like, oh shit, how do I get it to turn back on without destroying the oscillator settings? And that's the bit where I figure it out. Ah, and wasn't that nice? We enjoyed that. That was just a organ recital, as I called it. I was having a bit of fun and improvising a melody, and then eventually found like, hey, turns out if you just play the black notes together, they actually sound quite beautiful. I always found them quite sinister, but in that case, that didn't sound sinister. I think that sounded quite lovely. Yeah. So, hope you enjoyed that. I know I did. It's nice that I have a catalogue of music which I can sort of call on. It's like, let's listen to this one now. It's like, here's a catalogue of music, what I have done, do not steal. Oh, I always keep saying that. I find it very funny. I mean, the whole idea behind it is like, here's music what you can use. Here's music you can just listen to. Here's music you can do with as you see fit. So these two inputs, I'm going to compress them into one. Yep. So got a splitter somewhere around. Let's see if I can cram it in there. Yeah, it's letting me. Why is it not vibrating anymore? Okay, so now I want an additional output of iron. Oh yeah, now that bread is baking. Now I'll say that I prefer these two output to there, so that the rest of here can continue. So this one, yep, that's now full. So let's go to our electronics facility. Oh, this is our electric motor facility. And it's full on electric motors. Ah. Yep. So, somewhere around here I have electromagnets. Yep, magnetic coils as they call them. And I need them. So charge up. Can I get 9 in? There we go. Right, that says fully charged. So now, electromagnets. I want another line of electromagnets. And let's see. So I do that, pop that there, that one there. Okay, that was good. There was a bit of confusion. A parcel arrived in my name, and I thought, well, I haven't ordered that thing. And I checked my orders, and I thought, no, I haven't ordered it. Turns out somebody did order it, but it came in my name. So that's sorted. Now, let's see. An electric turbine, it needs motors and coils. So we should have... Yep, there's a spare line I can take it from. Or an exit. So we'll just say, motors please, come out, and then we'll do this. Oh, Comrade Phil is streaming now. Oh, that's good. Alright, what's he saying? I'm gonna, let's... Hey, Top Cat, if I give you a spanner, you can paste a link. There you go, Toppy. Post a link in. Let's have a listen to Comrade Starlin and what he's got to say. Oh, that, the confusion was settled. I didn't look. The parcel wasn't in my name. It just looks like my name because my eyesight's not that good. Oh dear, oh dear. Since that time I've put my glasses on, as I thought, you know what? Maybe I paid enough money for these. Maybe I should wear the damn things. But I want new glasses. New. These ones aren't fashionable. I want in fact, I don't want fashionable ones. I want distinctly unfashionable ones. The fashion these days is very ugly, horrid square frame glasses, and I don't like that. I think round frames are much better. Round frames look nice. Round frames look like... These square frame ones just make you look like a murderer or a nonce or something. I don't like them at all. Not a good look. I've never known a good man to wear square framed glasses. So let's just double check. What am I looking here? It wants 2 of each. Okay. So... burp. So, let's see. We're going to have some of these. Pop you there. Yep. And you're going to build this electromagnetic turbine. And I think I can do this just with the cheapy Tesla towers. There we go. Not a Wardenclyffe tower. So, 1, 2, 3. Gap. 1, 2, 3. Gap. 1, 2, 3. Gap. 1, 2, 3, and I think that will be sufficient. So let's do the same over here. So, no, let's make sure everyone's getting what they want. So do that, and I think what I'll do is on the other side I'll put a lane to output the electromagnetic turbines. And then once I've done that, I can look back and go, oh yeah, I'm doing electromagnetic turbines because I'm doing green science. How does it build into the green cubes? And I'm doing green cubes because I want to do warping. And I want to do warping so I can get to that blue star. I want to get to the blue star so I can get sulfuric acid. And I want sulfuric acid so I can make titanium alloy. And I want titanium alloy so that I can make... Dyson frame components, and I'll make Dyson frame components because without the frame components to make a Dyson sphere, you ain't gonna have a Dyson sphere. So that is why we are doing all that we are doing. All these long like chains. It does get complicated, but I enjoy that sort of complication. That is, I find that entertaining, very much so. In fact, it even got to the point where I woke up at 5 in the morning and I thought, it's too early to be awake. And, well, it is too early to be awake. But it didn't matter because I thought, great, I can get cracking on with this. As you can see, I'm 45 hours into this game, and it's almost as if they sort of like gone, yeah, someone's going to do a speed run of this. How long until they get to, because there is an end game to this. If you research that, you've done mission completed, universe matrix. So you do that, and you've won. And the universe matrix is done from all of this stuff, and so what? Oh, I see. Right. Anyway, I'll find out the ingredients for that once I've researched it. But okay, why is that not making anything? It says it wants motors. Oh, bugger. I've done bloody outputs. I don't want it to output electric... Control Z. No, Control Z doesn't work. Anyway, I don't want outputs. I want it to input electric motors. No. Never mind. We'll get back to that. But yeah, somebody, I'm pretty sure, once this game's released and then it's official, because once it's released, that's, I imagine, when they're going to do the balancing. And it'd be like, what speedrun attempts, like how quickly can you get starting on the planet, and they'll probably do one with like, this is the optimal seeds for having the right proportion of resources in your starting planet. And there'll probably be even sort of markers like first time to get logistics hub, first time to get red science, first time you fly off planet, first time you warp off planet. And and then I imagine there would even be like a speedrun to see who can build a Dyson sphere the fastest. Yeah, all sorts of things like that. And it does in fact look like we're not getting enough motors. I don't think that's fast enough. Well, that's blue conveyor belt, so it should be going fast. But it's not. Something somewhere is holding this back. Well, there we go. Now it's fast. Right, so we'll just go and recharge ourselves again. Now, remind me. I'm making electromagnetic turbines. Let's look at the matrix here. So it wants strange matter. Strange matter is particle container, that and that. And that requires copper, it requires graphene, and it requires electromagnetic turbines. Now I see why I was going to make electromagnetic turbines, because I want to make strange matter. Okay. So if I go over here, and let's do a thing like that. Pop that in there. And this is electromagnetic turbines. So there we go. And we can just say it's storage for the moment. So there, it's a store. And there's all our bits. Yep, going good. So it's storing that. We want copper to come in, so let's supply copper. Just to check, what am I doing? And oh, thank you for Comrade Stalin's link. Oh no. Oh, I hope I haven't broke the live stream. Still streaming? Yep. So, open link a new tab. Let's have Phil. Oh look, something went wrong. Why is that saying something went wrong? So what if I just copy the link address and then put it there? No, it's still doing studio YouTube. I don't want to do studio YouTube. I want to just do YouTube.
Way. He's saying, right, okay, we've got this nation. It's under a socialist state. It's probably best that we build up this nation, secure its borders, make sure that we can advance as a nation, and then we can start moving to spreading this sort of gaining more territory and dealing with the capitalists. Makes more sense. That's going to go around like, fuck that. We need to just invade Germany straight away and invade the rest of the world, which is obviously going to fail, I believe. That's why Stalin killed Trotsky. Fair play. And yeah, libertarian communists will sit for that. They've got this sort of idealistic utopian vision of how they can achieve a stateless society. They will never be happy unless they were never happy with any sort of authoritarianism or totalitarianism, because it doesn't fit under their idealistic vision of what a socialist or a nationalist state would be. We can see similarities with when we talk about ethno-nationalism. When we talk about ethno-nationalism, a lot of people still want to hold on to things like absolute private property rights, absolute freedom of speech, and things like that. And unfortunately, we have to say to them, we live in a world where we have enemies. we we can't give you absolute freedom of speech because our enemies would use that to destroy our nation. We will have to limit the media. We'll have to do A, B, C, and D pragmatically because we have enemies. We have people who want to destroy our nation. And this is the problem with these fucking libertarian communists is that they want the end goal right fucking now. And that would be fair enough. But my bigger issue is that the majority of libertarian socialists, well, basically all of them, have got a secret, have got a hidden agenda, and it's quite clear when you listen to them speak. When you listen to them speak, they often advocate for stuff like intersectionality, which is the idea that some people are more oppressed than other people, and it's always heavily biased on in regards to saying that minorities and the black working class are more oppressed than the white working class. It's always the case that these people who advocate for intersectionality are heavily supporting the bourgeoisie, like supporting immigration, supporting the European Union, um, supporting gender fluidity and transgender rights and gay rights, feminism in the sense of getting more women in the workplace. It's always the case that they're sort of subverting class analysis, class analysis, cheers, class analysis. They're subverting class analysis for their own self-interest. And I know this because I actually listened to Ash Sarkar earlier when she was talking about what is the working class, and she used a classical Marxist analysis, like from Marx directly, about what it means to be working class. Now, it's important to realise that class analysis or Marxism is a science essentially. When we're analysing the material conditions of certain nations, it's not static. It's something that's fluid that evolves with time. Now, it was true when Marx was making analysis of Germany and England. Um, it was the case that there was literally just a working class, a middle class, bourgeoisie. That's all there was. However, Lenin and Stalin, when they continued this analysis to deal with the changing economy of England, they changed what it meant to be working class. They acknowledged this. I mean, I'm going to read the same quote that I read yesterday from Lenin. So, Engels wrote in 1858, the English proletariat is actually becoming more and more bourgeois. So this most bourgeois of all nations is apparently aiming ultimately at the possession of a bourgeois aristocracy and a bourgeois proletariat alongside the bourgeoisie. For a nation which exploits the whole world, this of course to a certain extent was not. Oh, let's get back to where it says the English labour leaders had sold themselves. As to the urban workers here, pity the whole pack of leaders did not get into parliament. Wait. Well, actually, it's wrong one. Where are we? It says it, yeah. So it says here. So in the second edition of the Condition of the Working Class in England in 1892, here he speaks of an aristocracy amongst the working class, of a privileged minority of workers, in contradistinction to the great mass of working people. More privileged, protected minority, the working class alone, was permanently benefited by privileged positions in England, whereas the great bulk of them experienced at best but a temporary improvement. So this is what he's talking about. He's literally describing people like Sarkar and Owen Jones. It's not simply the case that if you, because like Sarkar's definition of what it means to be working classes, the classical Marxist analysis, where it was if you are working for someone else and you don't own the means of production, you are working class. So that could include anyone. That could include a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, a journalist. That could include anyone. Whereas, Lenin is right in saying that this has changed. It's changed now. It's not simply the case that if you work, you are part of the working class. There's various levels of the working class. There is like a petty bourgeois part of the working class where you can work for someone and be very wealthy in England. I mean that's scientific. We know that. We know this. We know this. This is true. So when Ashar Carr says if you work and you work for someone else and you're reliant on them, you are working class. You are exactly the same as everyone else. That's not the case at all. Not the case at all. There are various. There is an aristocracy of the working class. There are people in England right now who are technically working class. They've worked for someone else. They're a doctor, they're an accountant, a journalist, but they're part of this bourgeois aristocracy where they're sort of part of the fold. They're bribed off by the bourgeoisie. They essentially work for the bourgeoisie. Their class interests have changed. Their class interests have changed where they no longer represent the vast bulk of the working class. They represent the bourgeoisie. They merely LARP as representing the working class. This is a fucking joke, and it truly is the case. That's the way it is. So yes, Ashok, you're not just the working class. Technically, Ashok, you are the working class. Yeah, but you're part of this privileged minority within the working class. This rootless, cosmopolitan, petty bourgeois part of the working class. That's what you are. I'm not that. The majority of white working class people in England are not part of that class. They're part of the actual proletariat. You're part of this fucking bullshit. You're part of this privileged part of the working class. That's why you cannot say that you fully represent the working class people of England. And in fact, you are part of this global liberal petty bourgeois part of the working class. You've been brought in, and your material existence or material outcomes is dependent on supporting the state, supporting the ideology. That's why your ideology is liberal in nature. That's why you're a libertarian communist. You're a libertarian communist because your interests support the current system. Well, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't include indemnities because they're self-employed. You know what I mean? It's a kind of piss poor class analysis. That's why class analysis. And when you hear, I mean, all I hear from Ash Sarkar and Owen Jones is them LARPing as the proletariat, and also sort of simping for the current system. Like I've heard her on countless occasions shit on Stalin, big up Trotsky, talk about this intersectionality bollocks, say that she's consistently going to support the Labour Party, even though a fundamental part of Marxism is that you cannot support these parties. It's repeated over and over again by Marx, Lenin, Stalin, and it's not just simply. This is a common thing that libertarian communists will say, is they'll say, well, it's just theory, it's just their belief, it's just their opinion. But it's not just an opinion, it's explained extensively why you necessarily need to do that. You cannot expect the Labour Party to represent the working class. It is not filled with working class people, filled with the petty bourgeoisie and the bourgeoisie. There's hardly anybody in the Labour Party who is actually working class anymore. They're middle class, they're upper class, they're billionaires, they're CEOs, they're business owners, they're not fucking working class people. Even the people in the unions are not even working class in the traditional sense. They're part of this privileged part of the working class, part of this aristocracy. Don't represent our interests. And we clearly know this because every video you do and every video that libertarian socialists will talk about, it's consistently about shitting on white people, consistently talking about the white working class as if they are privileged and they are exactly the same as the upper class in England, which is clearly not the fucking case. Objectively, if we look at the data, I've done previous videos on this, where I've shown that if you're a white working class boy in England, you are less likely to go to university than any other ethnic group. Any other ethnic group. Black, Muslim, Pakistani, Indian, Asian, you are less likely to go to university. Yeah? You've also got the case that the white working class in England has got a terrible fertility rate for some reason. They're having trouble owning homes, a weird suicide rate, mental health problems. There's a lot of problems that are plaguing the white working class. That means that they're the worst off, objectively, in England. And you don't help the white working class by being in favour of certain policies that are antithetical to socialism. Like, for some reason, I saw cars in favour of open borders, freedom of movement, the European Union. It's absolutely fucking absurd. Like, how can you call yourself a socialist and be in favour of being a part of one of the biggest neoliberal projects in the history of mankind, the European Union? The fuck can you do that? And this is where this bullshit reformism comes in. They believe, oh, if we're part of the European Union, we can reform it. We can turn it into a socialist bloc. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Pragmatically, that is not going to happen. Don't fuck around. Don't pretend you're going to reform the European Union and turn it into a socialist bloc. Ain't going to happen. Don't fuck around. It isn't the case that all working class people have got the same interests. We do an actual material analysis. When we look at migrants that come to England, yeah, their interests as a group are considerably different than the white working class. It's more often the case that migrants, including Ash Sarkar, are going to support policies that are at the detriment to the working class as a whole globally, not just for England, globally. If you're a socialist and you support freedom of movement, this only helps the bourgeoisie in the current climate. In the current climate, the rich and the elite of the planet want freedom of movement. They necessarily need freedom of movement. This is what actually reduces the wages of the working class, increases property prices, helps them continue this system globally and nationally. Ash Sarkar literally highlights my point that migrants are actually the lumpen proletariat in the sense that they're not even part of the aristocracy. They're actually a proletariat that's used by the bourgeoisie to fuck over the proletariat. They support for policies that will exaggerate capitalism and liberalism, not destroy it. Supporting intersectionality, saying that certain people are more oppressed than others, and everyone's got... It's individualistic in nature. It's not collectivist in nature. It goes everything that's against socialism. It's fucking antithetical to it. Supporting freedom of movement, supporting the European Union. It's fucking gay up. So yeah, that's basically it. Essentially, yeah, these libertarian communists, they don't live in the real world by any stretch of the imagination. So one, we can't have a stateless, classless society and dismantle the state right now. Can't do that. It's impossible. If you do that right now, you will lose. Being anti-authoritarian when you're a socialist is a detriment to socialism. Yeah, pragmatically, you do have to be authoritarian. Here's the thing, right? Most people of all ideologies actually like the utopian vision of what communism says, i.e. a stateless, classless. It sounds beautiful. It's like, yeah, if that was possible, wouldn't that be good? We didn't have class. We didn't need a state. We didn't need this, and this. It's not about saying that people want this. It's about necessity. Yeah, it'd be great if we could all magically cooperate with each other. But that's not the way the world is. We don't magically cooperate with each other. Let's use a Karate Kid example. It's a good one, right? So fucking when the Karate Kid was, I think he was fighting the Cobra Kai or whatever. He could have, you know, hugged the person and said, "Please don't hit me. Let's shake hands and peacefully get along." La di da, skipping in the fucking sunset. That's not the way it worked. The way it worked is the fucking Mr. Miyagi came in and kicked shit out of them. Have to be authoritarian. If you've got an ideology that's antithetical to the entire fucking planet, yeah, have to be authoritarian. You will probably need a secret police. You will probably need a totalitarian regime. You probably cannot have democracy because that can be perverted. You will have to have strong borders. You will have to reduce immigration. You will have to encourage people to have more children. It's going to have to do this. This is necessity, absolute necessity. Nobody wants to force people to do things. Yeah, I don't want to force ethno-nationalism. Don't want to force people into that. It'd be good if it just happened naturally, but you have to force people into a political ideology. All political ideologies are authoritarian to a large degree. You're always forcing people to do stuff. There's always people killed. There's always some sort of laws in place. I'll just remove the state right now and expect this peaceful utopia that you were talking about, especially, and ignore the material needs and wants of certain groups of people. It is the case that the white working class of England are experiencing immense hardship. This is their land in England, white working class. They do have a right to that nation. Even Stalin would agree with that. I know you don't agree because he's authoritarian or whatever, but there's nothing wrong with keeping a nation. There's nothing wrong with a group of people, a collective group of people saying, this is our land. We don't want to hurt anyone around the world. We don't want to exploit people. We don't want to engage in imperialism. We just want to keep this for ourselves. We want to reduce immigration because it's contributing towards environmental problems. It's bringing wages down. It's causing cultural problems. It's increasing property prices. These people are more likely to be on side of the liberal bourgeois elite. We want to form our own culture and our own customs and traditions. We don't want to be peaceful for everyone around the world. We don't have problems with people. We just want to keep this for ourselves. Doesn't necessitate exploitation. There's nothing wrong with having a nation. You can still have a socialist nation. You can still have a socialist region where you peacefully cooperate with other places on the planet if they're at the same level that you are. We don't live in that world. It's not going to be the case that we have global socialism immediately. It's just fucking insane. Like, libertarian communists are fucking insane. They actually believe that we could dismantle the states, every fucking state on the entire planet, right fucking now, right? And we'd have a stateless, classless society where the workers own the means of production immediately. It's fucking stupid. It's absolutely fucking stupid. They literally believe the only solution to solve world problems is that we say to people, right, everyone burn your guns, everyone mounts their fucking guns and destroys their nukes, and then la la la, happily ever after, the end. Like, it's a bit more complicated than that, you fucking idiot. Yeah, the reason why you have one nation socialism, where you focus on the nation you're in, it's because we're limited in our fucking scope. Yeah, I don't believe that all over the planet everyone is at the same level of fucking civilization. I don't fucking believe it. I don't believe for 1 second that if England became a socialist nation, that fucking America would be a socialist nation at the same point. I don't fucking believe that. In fact, I believe that America is more likely going to be a highly capitalist nation to the bitter end. Same applies to China or many other nations. I honestly believe that a lot of the Middle Eastern nations are always going to be incredibly highly religious, and they're always going to have a fucking state way beyond fucking. So, you know what I mean? I don't believe that people are just divided by like simply that there's a working class and a proletariat. I mean, a proletariat and a bourgeoisie. There's different levels. You know what I mean? There's different fucking levels to this. But it's clearly the case that Ash Sarkar and many other people who profess to be libertarian communists, they fall into two categories. They're either radical liberals, LARPing as communists or socialists so that they can gain more popularity and seem more edgy, or socialists with like, you have those training wheels on bikes. Like, when you're a little kid, you have a training wheel. They're like baby socialists, but it's not just the case that they've got those training wheels on the bikes. It's also the case that the training wheels on the bikes are not tightened properly. And when you put your kid on it, your kid rides down the road on it, and then the bike blows up, and then the kid dies. It's like the kind of socialism that you advocate for, Ash Sarkar and Ellie Jones, is fucking toxic. It literally helps the bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie are in favour of it because it's not real socialism, and it will fail instantaneously, leading the proletariat down a path that will lead to hyper-capitalism and hyper-liberalism, and it will never fucking succeed. You know what I mean? It's fucking stupid. You also misdirect people away from class issues all the fucking time with this intersectionality bollocks, which is liberal as fuck. It's atomized. It's atomistic as fuck. It's like, you're not just a class. You've got it divides the classes up to an absurd level where we've got like 500 million genders and 500 million different types of racial problems and 500 million times of sexuality problems and disabilities and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't unify people. It divides people up even more. And who wants people to be atomized as fuck? The bourgeoisie. This is why I say that you are bourgeois scum. Why you deserve to go gulag? You do deserve to go gulag. You deserve to be ice picked like Trotsky. I'm sorry. It's just, you're LARPing as someone who represents the working class. You literally fucking don't. You're part of this globo homo, privileged fucking part of the aristocracy. That's what you are. Just because you work for someone doesn't mean that you are not biased in regards to supporting the bourgeoisie. You are. You're a rootless cosmopolitan, as Stalin would put it. A rootless cosmopolitan. You have no roots. You have no ties to the people. You have no ties to the working class. You're a global citizen. You're a global citizen while we have capitalism. You're more likely to fuck over the working class than cooperate with them. Clearly, every single fucking debate I see Ash Sarkar and libertarian communists, they're consistently attacking the white working class. It's very fucking rare that I see these people address the problems of the white working class. Very fucking rare. Never, hardly ever. Brushes them off completely brushes them off. All of the content of these libertarian communists is heavily biased towards identity politics, never talking about economics, ever. It's not even real identity politics, it's this liberal identity politics, where it literally groups all white people with the bourgeoisie. But what the fuck are you talking about? So yeah, fuck you, Ash Sarkar. Fuck you. You go straight to the fucking gulag. Straight to the gulag. LARPing. Completely fucking LARPing. In every way. And this is the same with Vaush and all of these people on YouTube, ContraPoints, Destiny, all these fucking idiots who don't read theory. Well, actually, I don't believe that. I think some of them do read theory, but they're deliberately using the theory or misinterpreting it or subverting it so that they can get this radical liberalism, essentially. Just radical liberalism. Well, it is radical liberalism. It's not socialism or communism. They can call themselves communists or socialists, but they're fucking not that. Actions speak louder than words. You know what I mean? In this instance, words speak equal volumes. Anyone who knows what the fuck they're talking about in regards to socialism or communism, who's actually read theory, actually understands what that political ideology is or that economic theory is. perfectly understand that people like Ashokar and Bausch and ContraPoints, just radical liberals, just radical fucking liberals. They consistently support parties like the Labour Party, the Democrat Party, who are who are literally bourgeois as fuck. They don't form their own party, and they advocate and they support the narrative of the liberal elite in every way, always on their side in every regard. Fucking claiming to be revolutionaries by, essentially supporting the bourgeoisie in every way. Occasionally, they will talk about workers owning the means of production, about healthcare and education and stuff. But it's exactly the same as social democrats. To be fair, just tokens. Actions speak louder than words. You know what I mean? I don't even believe they're all social democrats. All of them are. I don't even believe they're. See, I grouped social democrats and libertarian socialists in the same fucking category. Their actions speak louder than words, and they're consistently not even being proper anarchists. They're consistently supporting the Labour Party and the Democrat Party. You know what I mean? And never criticising them. Really. It's insane. Absolutely fucking insane. Like, seriously, what kind of fucking communist or socialist believes in freedom of movement? Who the fuck believes in that? It's clearly the case that freedom of movement it doesn't really exist anyway. People migrate for economic reasons. Yeah, and I've noticed another thing as well is that she groups refugees with immigrants on purpose. She like when she's talking about being like debunking anti-migration or anti-immigrant sentiments, she's always about refugees deliberately. She does that on purpose because yeah, we don't have many refugees in the country. We really don't. Majority of our migration is economic migration. It's people moving to our country so that they can take the jobs. You know what I mean? Which is a problem for the working class. What it fucking is. If you're an unemployed white working class person, this is a problem for you. It's like you've got more people to compete with for work. Not only that, because there's more people in the country, you're going to get lower wages. You're going to get lower wages. You're expected to have lower wages because there's more people competing for your job. Why worker rights are depleting. It's not because of the fucking Tories. It's because of you. It's not just the Tories. It's because of you as well. I saw you help the bourgeoisie yet again. You help migrants, economic migrants, come to this country, and you in turn help the bourgeoisie. Yeah, help them lower wages. And you could say, well, I'm against lowering wages. But you create more problems, so it's inevitable. But with the housing crisis, she'll say the housing crisis is because the market problems. But yes, that's true. You don't help the problem by bringing more people here. And she'll say there's plenty of space. So I don't want to destroy nature. We should work in harmony with nature. We don't need more people in the country. We don't. Yeah. There's plenty of people in this country already. There's plenty of people in England right now who are unemployed, yeah, or underemployed or working in pointless fucking shitty jobs. Plenty of people. They are the priority. You do not help them by bringing in more people. It's inevitable if you do that there will be a housing crisis, that they will have to destroy nature to build homes, that wages will go down,
I'm going to be right
property
back.
prices will increase. Yeah, that there will be tensions, that the white working class will feel marginalised because they fucking are. Give them no priority whatsoever. Never address their problems, and there's a reason why you do that. You don't. these libertarian socialists don't address the problems of the white working class because fucking they look down on them. And the reason why they look down on them is because they are part of this aristocracy that fucking Lenin was talking about. They're part of this. They're the part of the working class that is actually working with the bourgeoisie. Yeah, they're given this fake socialism. They're given this fake socialism by the bourgeoisie to oppress the proletariat. That's what it is. Now, these people might think that they might not be aware of it. I do honestly, I believe that a lot of libertarian socialists don't realize that they're actually working with the bourgeoisie. Some are ignorant to it. They're ignorant to the fact that they actually think that their kind of socialism that they're advocating is actually going to benefit all the working class globally. It isn't. No fucking way. It doesn't benefit anyone. Economic migration or immigration as a whole doesn't, as we've established, doesn't benefit the working class in this country, and it doesn't benefit the working class in other countries as well. Because if we take an immigrant from Nigeria or Pakistan or India, that's a skilled worker that has abandoned its own people for its own economic interests, which leaves their home nation in a worse position. Every doctor and nurse and engineer that we take from another country, that country that's less developed than we are, is worse off. Children literally die. Their infrastructure stays. If they're always going to be behind us, yeah, they'll never get to the same stage of development as that we are because of that. And the working class in our own country are going to struggle immensely trying to get a better material existence. It's harder for them to unionize, to form unions if there's people who can replace them easily. If we have less immigration, the working class of this country can unionize better and be a bigger political threat to these really wealthy people. They can say, we demand higher wages. And if you don't give us higher wages, we're going on strike. They can't do that currently. If they do that currently, the bourgeoisie can say, do that. I'll replace you. I'll replace you with Polish immigrants, Romanian immigrants. Go on strike. See what happens. I'll replace you in fucking minutes. Because there's a reserve army of labor. Yeah. This is another reason why freedom of movement helps the bourgeoisie. With the freedom of movement, yeah, the elites of our country can use that to create a reserve army of labor in the country. In the sense that if the working class of the country try to revolt against the system by going on strike or saying, no, fuck you, we demand higher wages, they can be replaced instantly. That's why the elites do this. If you take that away from them, if you say no more freedom of movement, here are your workers in England, 2 million unemployed people, and the people who are already working for you, they demand higher wages. They're in a position where they cannot, where the unions and the working class people of England can negotiate properly. They can say, you can't replace me. I'm your worker. I demand this amount of money. They're in a better position then. You will never overthrow capitalism by being in favor of freedom of movement. Never. We'll also never overthrow capitalism by joining a fucking state like the European Union that's fucking latest stage of capitalism. That's Menshevik bullshit. Yeah, fuck that off. So yeah, fuck libertarian socialism. Get rid of it. Throw it in the bin. Stupid. Absolutely fucking stupid. It's misdirecting the proletariat globally and nationally away from the real problems on the planet. You know what I mean? In many instances of doing that, they misdirect them around bullshit and present them with solutions that are never going to fucking work and only help the elites every fucking. So yeah, fuck them. Gulag. A gulag. Yeah, I think that's enough now. Anyway, I'm gonna have something to eat, and then I've got to take my daughter to get some glass. What we can do. That's another issue as well. It's like a thing to remember with England as well is that England is overpopulated. Really, we're incredibly. We have a small territory. We've got like 67 million people. The last thing we should do is bring more people in. I mean, how does this benefit these nations? How does it benefit the Syrian people or the Pakistani people by taking people away, especially skilled people? How does that benefit them? How does it benefit their country by taking people away, putting them in our country, and then keeping them in perpetual poverty? They need all the workers they can. They need to keep their workers. They need their work. They need to keep their doctors and engineers and lawyers and people like that. And even their low-skilled workers, they need to keep all their fucking workers. Just like we need to keep our workers. Yeah? And stop, and I repeat this to libertarian socialists, stop conflating refugees with migrants. Two different fucking things, right? Majority of migration to this country, trying to is economic migration. That we know this for a fucking fact. They're not all refugees. Don't give me that bollocks. And if you do say that the majority of them are refugees, the data doesn't prove, by the way, right? Then you have to acknowledge the fact that you are the people who support parties that do this. You're the people who support the Labour Party or the Democrat Party. These are the parties that have most engaged in imperialism. They're the parties that have been bombing Iraq and Afghanistan consistently. Tony Blair, you know what I mean? Tony Blair, fucking, you're the people who vote for these parties. Ash Sarkar will be the first person to vote for the Labour Party next election, even if it is Keir Starmer. She will do that. Can't really call yourself a principled communist, can you? Ash Sarkar. It's more likely the case that you're a fucking radical liberal. You're quite happy to fucking support these parties, yeah? Who will bomb the shit out of fucking. You know what I mean? You're quite happy to fucking do that. Or bomb the shit out of fucking the Middle East. Create refugee crisis. Create a refugee crisis. Yeah? And then blame the white proletariat in England for being against fucking this. Always in favour of war. So stop fucking doing that. If you are literally, Asharkar, Vaush, all these people, if you're literally a principled fucking communist or socialist, stop being in favour of the European Union. Stop being in favour of freedom of movement. Yeah? Stop being against authoritarianism, right? And also, stop ignoring the white working class. Stop pretending as if this intersectionality applies to every part of the fucking planet, where black working class people are always, no matter where they are on the planet, worse off than the white working class. The data doesn't support you. It doesn't fucking support you in this country. In England, the white working class are objectively the worst off. They do have a claim to this fucking nation. This is their nation. It's got a natural fucking border. This has been their homeland. The white working class it's been their homeland for fucking God knows how many years, hundreds if not thousands of years. Yeah? And they have been through a lot of fucking hardship. Gone through feudalism, fucking basically slavery, sent to wars, died, fought for their rights, done so many things. And you're quite happy to just fuck them off. And support the bourgeoisie, like I say. So stop it. Here's an idea. Actually read fucking theory. Actually read theory. That'd be good. Um, fuck, you're a Euro knob. Oh shit, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Work. Oh, then we'll go. So yeah, fuck libertarian socialist. They're anti-essential. Absolute fuck. They fucking work for the elites, essentially. That's what they fucking do. They work for the fucking elites and perpetuate more problems. And yeah. I like Top Cat's picture. Yeah, turn the gulag, fuck her off. This is why Stalin and Lenin and basically everyone believes that radical liberals get the bullet first. They should get the bullet first because it's the worst type of ideology. It's the worst type of ideology because it fucking brainwashes young people, working class, into believing that what they're advocating for is the working class interest, while it supports the bourgeoisie and fucking causes so much harm to the planet Earth, people around the world, perpetuates wars and conflict and imperialism. Loads of fucking bullshit. Actually fucking read theory. You're not going to like the outcome. Probably not going to like it. It's going to take you a while to get used to it. If you actually read theory, Ashtarkar, you are going to get to the point where you're going to be against immigration. This is a bitter pill to swallow for lefties. A lot of modern day lefties will age again. They've been brainwashed by this liberalism where they believe that immigration is so good and that they're actually helping the planet by doing it. You got to accept reality that it doesn't help anyone. The only people this helps out are wealthy people. It only benefits wealthy people. It keeps this system going, and it literally results in ethnic genocide as well. Immigration resorts into ethnic genocide. It killed off the Native Americans, the Indians. Yeah, it's killing off cultures all over the planet, and they're not all bourgeois cultures. You know, the white working class have got their own culture. Well, why the fuck should they have their culture fucking genocided? Why should have their culture changed into this sort of liberalism, materialism, consumerism? Got a right to preserve that. I think the majority of cultures on the planet should keep their way of living. I'm quite happy with allowing people around the planet to have their own regions where they're allowed to practice their customs and traditions and their own unique way of life. Perfectly fine. I don't believe in this global socialist culture where everyone's got an identical culture. Don't believe that. I believe that you can have global socialism. I believe that's possible, where the workers own the means of production. But I will always believe, well, I always will believe that fucking there's always going to be unique characteristics to different regions of the planet. The English, no matter what their economic system is or political system, are going to have their own unique identity, unique history, unique ancestry, and it will always be significantly different than the Russians or Africans or Asians or Um, America, even America, I think it's always going to be slightly different. And we know this. It's like if you look at the Soviet Union had its own unique aesthetic, um, its own unique traditions and customs, and England's always going to be different. Anyway, let's put. But I'm going to put a tune on. I'm going to fuck off.
So if you're wondering what's going on, I'm just listening to Phil talking about socialism and all that stuff. Gotta say, a lot of it I agree with.
Dropping on the knees and I'm dropping from the mud. Dropping with the boys and I'm dropping with the good and the bad and the ugly and the worst. Worst. Where's your flirts? Where's your money and your phone and your watch and your time and your mobile phone? Hey Pakistani, does your granny have a fanny? Does it smell? Get out. Hey Pakistani, does your granny have a fanny? Does it smell? Fuck it out. Stinks of fish and it stinks of weed and it stinks of piss and it stinks of seed and it stinks of fish and it stinks of weed and it stinks of piss and it stinks of seed. Take it to the sky. Techno, prisoners, music business, outfit business, worth me riddlers. Techno, prisoners, music business, outfit business, worth me riddlers. Going my kiddies when I'm on knees, getting burgers and things and no good cheese. I don't like the sauce, but I'll have a milkshake, cause that's the thing, but I'm after.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream, but I gotta go. Gonna have something to eat now and go out. So I'll see you in a bit. Bye bye. In a bit. Oh, the music is Devo Euro Knob. It's funny. I like it. See you in a bit. Bye.
Right, so that's Phil done, and I think, you know what, I say I'm going to be done as well, because I addressed one of the issues that I had, lack of energized graphite, and yeah, it's a bit of a struggle. So you can see there's big demand for it, but there's not that much coming out. So this little thing here has now been greatly expanded. That one there was like, oh, you know, I'm having fun with these splitters. Let's use as many of them as possible. And let's see, it's all going here, and that's going up to that. Yep. And just various bits of coal are working their way in there. Okay, so that's going to be me done for the day. So thank you very much for watching.